We now return to Bond Girls Are Forever. When I was a teenager growing up in Europe, I don't think I'd even seen a James Bond movie. But like everyone else, I'd heard all about 007 and his Bond girls. He was as much a part of pop culture as the Beatles. But the 70s was a new time. Women were beginning to assert themselves, and the first Bond girl of the decade had no problem with who she was and what she represented.
How many Bond girls do you think are cowgirls? Well,
Only one.
Oh, there must be more than one.
One of the women who certainly has no regrets about playing a Bond girl is the alluring Jill St. John, who played Tiffany Case in Diamonds Are Forever.
Do you feel more a cowgirl or more a Bond girl?
Oh, a little bit of both. No one wants to give up the mantle of being a Bond girl, and if they say they do, they're lying.
Weren't you a blonde when I came in?
Could be.
I tend to notice little things like that, whether a girl is a blonde or a brunette.
And which do you prefer?
Oh, providing the collars and cuffs match.
You have this wonderful sense of humor about it. You didn't feel that it was a curse, like some actresses might have felt that it was a curse doing a Bond movie.
Then they shouldn't have accepted the role. I really welcomed the chance. I wanted to look glamorous. I was thrilled when they offered me the role.
I have a feeling this is the beginning of a wonderful relationship.
I was thrilled to be working with Sean Connery, to be doing these wonderful locations and this fun script, and I had a great time.
It was in Las Vegas that you had the famous car chase scene.
Yes, that was really interesting. They closed downtown Las Vegas so we could do this car chase, and Sean Connery and I were in a red Mustang.
Lean over.
And they actually tilted it on its side, and I was in it. It was weird. Oh, I think it took several nights to do that. But we didn't get hurt. I wouldn't say I wasn't scared.
Relax, darling. I'm on top of the situation.
I think it was very much a 70s woman. I think we were all starting to take charge of our own lives by then. And I was happy to portray that.
Keep leaning on that tutor, Charlie, and you're gonna get a shot in the mouth.
Bond women over the 4 decades have been criticized by feminist movements, especially in the 70s. What do you feel about it?
I think they're bad sports.
There is something I'd like you to get off your chest.
Mr. Osato believes in a healthy chest.
Really?
Hi, I'm Plenty.
But of course you are.
Plenty O'Toole.
I'm Bambi.
And I'm Thumper.
Bond women are larger than life. They're not meant to represent the real woman. They're meant to represent almost a dreamlike quality. It's a fantasy quality. How can anybody take that seriously and complain about it?
In Japan, men always come first, women come second.
I might just retire to here.
This meant as entertainment. It's not meant as a social statement or a chronicle of how far women have come in life.
In 1973, a new Bond appeared in Live and Let Die.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
But what struck me as I was watching the Roger Moore films was how many of the Bond women needed to be rescued. Sometimes from the arch-villain, and sometimes from Bond himself. As when he tricks Jane Seymour's virginal solitaire into sleeping with him.
You could think of James Bond as being a bit of a villain because he cheated her at her own game. He basically cheats with the cards and tells her that it's her destiny to be with him, putting her life in danger and, of course, making her lose her mystical powers.
The deck was slightly stacked in my favor.
I always thought that was a pretty rotten thing of James Bond to do, you know. That was not nice of an Englishman to do, no. A whole deck full of lovers, not right.
Come on, cheer up, darling. Has to be a first time for everyone.
I was curious to know how other women from the Roger Moore era felt about their roles.
See, I don't look at my old films. I don't look at Octopussy or The Man with the Golden Gun. It's probably been years since I saw them last.
Maud Adams has a unique place in the legend of Bond. She's played a Bond girl twice, first in The Man with the Golden Gun, and then again, 8 years later, in Octopussy. I wondered how it would feel to watch herself on the screen as she was 30 years ago.
I look so young. I hardly recognize myself. It doesn't look like me.
Now, The Man with the Golden Gun, you were the girlfriend of the villain, Christopher Lee, and you were being tortured by him. I mean, you were like a victim in that character. How was it for you as a woman to play that part?
Well, at the time, the Bond films, they were really quite different from today. I mean, the women were generally portrayed as damsels in distress, and that's exactly what Andrea was. I mean, as an actress, it's not really the most wonderful part to play, but I was also fairly new to the profession, and I knew my role. I mean, I knew this was a very decorative part.
Good afternoon.
See, today they require so much more nudity on the screen. I really like the...
A water pistol.
Pass me that rope. More the suggestion. And actually, you know, I was covered everywhere. It mattered. Look. I mean, you couldn't do that today.
Wow, you're hurting my arm.
I'll break it unless you tell me where those bullets go.
No, I can't.
She just seems so out of control.
One of the most surprising discoveries we made that day was how physically aggressive Bond was.
I mean, of course, when you think about it, she's not really inviting him to have sex.
No!
That would not be very correct today.
We are two of a kind.
Maybe that was the way the world was at that time. Maybe women were supposed to put up a little bit of a fight before they gave in. That was part of the sexual game. I mean, when I look at it on screen, it's like it's somebody else. That is so far gone that it's not a real living memory anymore.
Okay. So what I want to know is what you want to do with your degree in theater.
Lois Charles has spent her life committed to acting. When she's not shooting, she teaches at the University of Houston, passing on her experiences in movies like The Great Gatsby and The Way We Were. But when Lois was first approached to play the leading lady in Moonraker, she had some misgivings about taking the role.
It was a kind of a different time for women because women were struggling to be equal, and all of a sudden it wasn't okay to be sexual or attractive as a woman. Like I made the Bond movie. Women were burning their bras at that point.
Good afternoon.
Can I help you?
Yes, my name is Bond. James Bond. I am looking for Dr. Goodhead.
You just found her.
A woman?
Your powers of observation do you credit, Mr. Bond?
I mean, first of all, the name, Dr. Holly Goodhead. But how am I going to explain that one to my parents?
Dr. Goodhead.
I can only hope your presence here is a coincidence, Mr. Bond. I dislike being spied on.
I was a child of my generation, and I was concerned about this. Women were saying we weren't supposed to be sexy, or it wasn't a good thing to be thought sexy. So I was, Bond was certainly, that was what they were selling.
Détente.
Agreed.
Trust.
Out of the question.
So when I got there and read the script and realized that this character was going to be strong, and it was going to be the first time that a woman could do what Bond could do. She could fly the plane, she was a scientist, and I thought this could be really fun. But I thought, after all, I'll be in a spacesuit most of the time, so, how sexy could that be?
My God, what's Bond doing?
I think he's attempting re-entry, sir.
That was the most difficult thing to shoot. It was so uncomfortable. God, we were on wires and, you know, little thing underneath the problem. I mean, it was just so bizarre, that. And I didn't like the line. You know, I had to say, take me around the world one more time.
Take me around the world one more time.
I think there's some sexual connotation besides the obvious one.
We're all children of our generations. And just as Lois felt connected to the women of the 70s, I felt the same about the 80s. What I didn't know was that James Bond would come into my life and bring me into the exclusive world of the Bond girls. Carrie Lowell and I share a common bond. Timothy Dalton. She starred opposite Tim in License to Kill in 1989.
I saw you at Heller's office. You're working with them.
No! We may have shared the same leading man, but our characters couldn't have been more different.
So you were number 16, I was number 15. My character, of course, had no physical ability because she was a musician, so she was a disaster.
Mine kicked ass. She was firing guns and, you know.
Get it started.
The audition happened in Los Angeles, and I remember the description was, it's a Bond girl, but she's different from all the Bond girls. She's tough, and she's in charge, and when you first meet her, she's hanging out in a bar with all the guys. He's with me. Keep your hands on the table. So I thought, okay, great. I put on my jeans and a pair of cowboy boots and a leather jacket and a T-shirt, and I went to the audition. And they took one look at my costume and said, you know, this was a Friday. You have to come back on Monday. You can't audition for a Bond film in this costume. You have to put on something tight and sexy, and that's how you have to do it. So I spent the weekend going to really cheesy, contempo casual stores, and I found this pink lame zip-up halter that sort of zipped all the way up, and it was really fitted, and it probably cost $9.99. And that's what I wore to the audition on Monday.
And they loved it?
And they loved it.
Well, if you're going to stay and be my executive secretary, you'd better look the part. Here, buy yourself some decent clothes.
And I was meant to be, as a CIA operative, and I remember there was a scene when we're leaving the cocaine factory, and Benicio del Toro, I mean, who knew that he was going to rise to such greatness? And Timothy, he's tied his wrists, and he's hanging by this little prong as he's about to go into the grinder for the cocaine. His little feet are about to get mangled. And Benicio's coming up and trying to cut the ropes in order to kill James. And,
oh, I remember, yes.
And in fact, sliced Timothy's hand. We had to stop, and they sewed him up, and then they put him back. Yeah, because he was a bit of a wild card back then, Benicio.
A stallion.
Yeah, so I'm meant to pull out my gun and start shooting at Benicio to kill him.
You're dead.
So I pull out my gun, and I start to shoot at him, and I'm going, and they're saying, why are you squinting? Why are you flinching? So I had to learn to go like this and just shoot and keep my eyes open, because you don't flinch when you're a CIA operative shooting a gun.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Did you shoot guns?
I shot a gun once, and I can't shoot. My character can't shoot. I do it all wrong.
Fire, Bond, fire. Shoot her. What are you waiting for?
So from that moment, when Tim got to meet my character, it was just like, oh, she does everything wrong. But, you know, I'll deal with the real world. You just stay put.
Right. Did you guys ski together?
No, we were in this cello case.
Sorry.
Did you actually have steering in it?
Yeah, I had steering, and I was the one steering it, and Timothy was much heavier, so it tended to want to go towards the right, where the camera crew was, right at the bottom, and it just turned out to be a nightmare, because we had a couple of accidents, and I thought Tim at one point had broken his neck, and he was, like, so pissed off with me, you know. It's kind of the relationship we had anyway in the movie. He kind of treated me like my character, like a schoolgirl, like I don't know anything.
You were fantastic. We're free.
Cara, we're inside a Russian airbase in the middle of Afghanistan.
I remember we had to do this scene when we first kissed. 90.
70.
80. It comes time to do our scene, and and Tim's, you know, smoking, as he always does, silk cut, and then telling me how I should actually be kissing him.
What?
I remember thinking that my character was very sort of aggressive, CIA, you know, undercover agent, and that if somebody was going to kiss me, I was going to, you know, kiss them back. And Tim going through this sort of long explanation about how if I really wanted to seduce him, that I should, in fact, just sort of brush his lips, you know, gently. So we did that, and that's what they printed, I guess. But I adored him.
He's wonderful, and he's such a generous supporting actor.
Now, why don't you wait until you're asked?
Well, why don't you ask me?
Oh, sex with Bond, yeah. Did we or did we not sleep with Bond? And,
well, I'll tell you who did sleep with Bond was my nemesis, Talisa Soto.
That's right, because you get pissed off the next day.
I get pissed off, and in fact, there's a scene when I'm meeting Q for the first time.
Good night, Q.
Sweet dreams, Mr. Bond.
I hope you don't snore, Q.
Did you sleep with him?
No, I didn't. But I was much more resilient because I fell in love with him because he'd rescued me from the east to the west. But I didn't sleep with him, and you never see any nakedness. I was kind of dressed up to the nines.
High star.
What does that mean?
It means beautiful in Afghan.
Some people think it's got to do with the 80s AIDS.
I don't know. I mean, if they really wanted to be that responsible about it, they could have had us sleep with Bond, and we could have asked him to use a condom, you know? I just don't into
the 90s.
Into the 90s.
After Carrie and I finished our movies, James Bond disappeared. The franchise was bogged down in legal problems. But a world without Bond was unthinkable. And after 6 years, 007 had his license to kill renewed. But this time, Bond girls were beginning to call the shots. Bond Girls Are Forever will return.